Hello, dear listeners, and my pleasure, pioneers. Today is the part two of how women can navigate feeling broken in ethical non-monogamy and tantra scenes. And today I will delve deeper into the energetic and emotional dynamics in these situations. And also I hope to offer some kind of solutions and understanding what people can do. So please tune in and connect with me if you want to share your opinions, your experiences, or indeed if you have any questions. You can always send me an email, Instagram message. You can also send me a SpeakPipe audio where if you say clearly that you want to be featured on the show, I can cut in your question, your comment, your testimonial, your feedback. So please use that. It will be in the show notes and also in my link in bio on my social media. So let's dive in. And I hope you are feeling good today. I really enjoy being back on air with you. As I've said, there's this kind of growing encouragement for having these open relationships and having one-night stands, having this kind of non-attachment. But for women, the journey can be very, very challenging because of this natural energetic and emotional connection that often are part of physical intimacy. So when a woman engages in intimacy, erotic sex, for instance, their bodies release bonding hormones like oxytocin, endorphins, and dopamine, which actually create a deeper emotional connection than in a male body. So typically, men can be more able to engage in physical intimacy without immediate emotional attachment because the heart space is more yin, and so it's more guarded and more reserved. But for a woman to actually go through a sexual act with a man, even if she doesn't know him, for longer than, that first date, for instance, or that, particular festival, it can actually mean that she's opened her heart already. She has already engaged and attached and invested emotionally. And because the pussy takes longer to get warmed up, being watery yin energy, it has to come through the heart first. Otherwise, it can be a traumatic event for a woman where she's trying to push through just because she feels that this is what's expected of her, or she wants to please the man, or indeed has kind of sympathies or pity for the balls that feel painful. So you can understand that this is very, very complex and tricky, and I am being provocative. I understand that. So excuse me if I trigger you, but I would love to hear from you how you feel this, how this resonates with you. So this natural difference can actually make women to feel more pressurized, and they can start feeling broken because they struggle to detach emotionally in these kind of settings where you just move to the next one. Society often tells women that they should really embrace this non-monogamy. We hear it everywhere, whether it's Cosmopolitan, all these kind of so-called women's magazines, and the influencers, and be empowered sexually and just do whatever you want. It doesn't take away that there can be a misalignment with your energy and your emotional experience, and there's no need to push and do what society or the pressures around you actually tell you. When we look at these expectations that create emotional challenges, it can be very obviously individual. So not all women can be like this, and not all men are like that. But I'm just invite you to understand that this biochemical response in a woman's body can really make it difficult just biologically, physically, to detach emotionally from the partners that they've had sex, even if it's consensual. So I know not all men are like this, but it is, as a general rule, easier for men to compartmentalize their feelings and keep their hearts closed until they truly feel bonded with somebody, and they start feeling. Actually, I've had polyamory, as I said, coaching clients, and interestingly, often it's been the man who's been feeling all of a sudden that actually I would like to be with this woman in a monogamous situation and actually start building a life and a family with her. So it's interesting. I'm not saying this doesn't happen, and my experience actually is that in my particular coaching setting, it's been the opposite what I'm just basically saying here. So it just means that there are layers of complexity, and we all are individual. And if we even look at the non-binary and gender non-conforming individuals, the experience is even more complex and dynamic of intimacy and emotional connection is even more unique. So people who don't identify strictly as a male or female may embody a blend of yin and yang energies that don't necessarily align with traditional gender roles, and it can be opposite in male and female. Experiences of intimacy and emotional connection can really vary widely, depending on the individual personal history or energetic makeup. So it's very important to kind of consider what's happening here. So first of all, we have those hormonal influences, as I already said, the happy hormones, the bonding hormones, that especially in a female body start surging immediately when we have that strong emotional connection through sex. And men might not experience this hormonal bonding so intensely, or at least immediately. So they can be more detached when it comes to physical intimacy. And non-binary individuals may experience a mix of these. So it just depends. And the other thing to really, that I've already said, is the societal expectations and internal pressures. So women can really feel pressured to embrace one-night stands and non-monogamy without truly understanding about their own emotional needs, and hence start feeling inadequate or even broken. So also men can feel societal expectations to remain emotionally detached, because this is, let's face it, more conquests. Anyway, more partners a man has had, traditionally, it's been a good thing. It's your status goes up. So there is a pressure for men to be emotionally detached, because men are not allowed to feel traditionally. This is the patriarchal conditioning that at least my coaching clients, my men coaching clients, they often are very deeply feeling people who are just learning to feel more and are wanting to understand how, for instance, anger or grief or sadness can be expressed in a safe way, and how to connect in a way that doesn't hurt emotionally. So it's very interesting. So when we're talking about these kind of situations, the communication and consent are paramount. I mean, you need to really understand that regardless where you are at, in any kind of setting, whatever, the circle or the bubble you're in are saying is the norm, you still can have consent to say no at any point. And I will talk about consent in another episode. I think it's very important to talk about communication and consent, and how you can really manage expectations and ensuring that everybody in the situation are respected and valued, and whatever is going throughout their bodies. And there's so many beautiful tantric exercises that men can actually help themselves to take responsibility about their pleasure and how their bodies feel if there is a no, and you are kind of coming to the point of no return, and your balls are on fire. There are ways in which you can really take control and responsibility for how your body feels. It's never a woman's duty or requirement to help you in any kind of way in that situation. So let's get real and learn those tools and practices. And if you are in that situation, you're always very welcome to contact me, and we can explore coaching container together. So those clear boundaries and understanding each other's emotional needs can really help a lot in terms of emotional distress and misunderstandings. And in particular, non-binary people might benefit from conversations that respect the fluidity of their experience of intimacy and attachment, even more so. So self-awareness and emotional resilience is something that I feel very strongly about. Before you can become truly, I don't know, it's the enlightenment I'm saying, maybe. Before you can become a true you need to have self-awareness. You really need to understand what are your needs and desires, what are your fears and anxieties. So self-awareness is very much part of the Selfishly Happy Revolution, because without that self-awareness, you don't know how to get help. You don't know how to become master of yourself, how to what kind of tools and processes would work for you in particular situations. And that's why the self-mastery automatically kind of follows from self-awareness, and then you can start building that kind of resilience through these exercises, through self-care, through support, and become the truest version of yourself. And I think the last point I would like to make is the kind of tailored approach, because however I've been kind of being very outspoken and for deliberately making this a little bit binary and stereotypical, every person is unique, and every person's experience with intimacy and emotional connection is unique, regardless of your gender. What works for one person or a couple or a polyamory group may not work for another. So it's always that kind of curiosity and adventure in a way, and trying different things and really feeling into your body what works for you. So that's why tailoring different approaches and tools and processes is very important within the diverse needs of all partners, and it becomes more inclusive and supportive relationship dynamic all around. We just need to become more aware about them and become more respectful and really feel that we can help each other as well as ourselves. Societal pressures and these different kind of sub groups and circles can become quite toxic, and that's why it's very important to talk about these things openly. What I would say in terms of solutions, I would say self-awareness and mindfulness. That's the first step. The second step is reclaiming your own body, your boundaries, and your consent. You always have the right to consent and have clear boundaries, but you need to become first self-aware of them. And especially in female body, it can change. It can change just like that. So it's not one-time agreement. It can be given and withdrawn at any moment. And if you feel pressured into intimacy or a situation changes, it's important to communicate your boundaries immediately, one way or another. I already spoke about the emotional resilience and kind of, I think it's very crucial to be able to navigate the ups and downs of any relationship, and how you can really help yourself to become emotionally resilient is to find support from friends or a coach, or learning to self-care. For me, self-care is pleasure always. It's something that really is my go-to self-care method. So just, engaging in any kind of activities that brings you joy and relaxation and emotional well-being. And I would really say that it's okay to prioritize your emotional health over societal expectations or peer pressure or any type of circle you are in. It's always okay to prioritize your emotional and sexual health. It's not selfish by any means. The other thing that I think is I've already mentioned as well is the authentic communication. But without understanding your own needs and fears and desires, that self-awareness piece, you can't really communicate what your boundaries are, what your expectations are, and so on. And even talking about your feelings. I mean, this is something that we're not taught, how to talk about our feelings openly and honestly. And this authentic communication can be learned. But it's so crucial to avoid misunderstandings and emotional distress. Sometimes we kind of feel that if I've been thinking about it, the other person really gets it. And unfortunately, most of us are not telepathic. So definitely not. It's always good to actually voice things and show in your body language and just fall into this relaxed space where you can discuss things openly and honestly. So one of the other things that I'd like to say as a solution is embracing Tantra for wholeness, because it's one of the most powerful tools or group of tools that help people to feel more integrated and whole. So practices such as breath work, energy movement, having that kind of mindful intimacy, and so on. Tantra can really help you to connect more deeply with yourself and others. And this holistic approach really, in my experience, personal experience, but also when I do coaching or workshops or retreats, it kind of brings about that sense of completeness and well-being. And it kind of transcends the societal and group pressures. And as a Tantra coach, I work with clients to help them integrate these practices concretely into their lives. And I really focus people within my coaching practice to help people to understand their needs, establish the boundaries, and really having that deeper sense of connection and presence, and how to communicate consciously, and how you can weave in pleasure to support your self-care and your well-being. And it's really a sad story when the beauty of sex and sexuality and pleasure and erotism and intimacy is in the society now made as a commodity in a way that people are just, they can be discarded, and there's a next one. I'm not putting here a value. I'm just saying that we are just so much more than our genitals. We're just so much more than a brief moment of having that kind of release. I mean, if we really understand Tantra and practice it, we can understand that it gives us energy, it gives us so much more joie de vivre, it gives us more, I don't know, it's very difficult to say, but it kind of gives clarity, it gives groundedness, it gives energy, it gives bliss, it gives ecstasy, it gives so much more. And when you can really practice it, not in your head, but actually practice it and learn to be open and vulnerable in that relationship with yourself and with another person, I think we are becoming so much more than a sum of our body parts or the sum of our relationship number and so on. It becomes truly a way of, I don't know, it truly becomes a way to heal this world. I know it sounds naff, but I believe if we all did this internal work of self-awareness, self-mastery, we could start voicing, self-express ourselves in a way that is aligned to our deepest, deepest truths and being the authentic expression of divinity, of the oneness in this human experience. And we could really have the reverence and devotion and the body worshipping and all the yumminess that comes from being in a human, beautiful goddess, godex, godlike body. I think we would be so much happier, all of us. And it has that ripple effect. It has that wave of understanding that we don't need to resent and feel entitled or privileged, because we're all one. We're all here together. And when I take responsibility of my own needs and desires and happiness and pleasure and peace, I will liberate you too. You are liberated to do the same. And we can negotiate it. What does our relationship look like? Is it monogamous? Is it ethical non-monogamous? Is it polyamory? Is it, serial monogamy, or is it lifelong soulmate type of partnership? And the thing is, what's present right now is that, okay, this is my truth now. It might change, but now this is how I feel and it feels good to me. So, all in all, I'm really inviting you to feel into your own body. How does this episode feel to you? If you want to reach out to me, go to the show notes, find my email, message me through Instagram, message me through voice message on SpeakPipe, stating clearly whether you want me to include it in the episode or whether you just want to send a SpeakPipe voice message to me personally. And if you want to explore coaching, you know how to book a desire call with me. If you want to know more about my retreats and webinars, let me know and I'll put you on the emailing list. And yeah, I wish you a really, really juicy and pleasure-filled day, and all is well in the world. Ciao, ciao now. My name is Anne Blunt, your host of this podcast called Tantric Sex for Lovers and Others.